Oh, when I saw that lineup today, no Martinelli, no Saka, no Rice, no Jesus, couple key players missing, Nelson playing, Arteta heavily rotating. I thought, you know what, I fancy Luton to maybe make this difficult for Arsenal. I know Arsenal are good, but Luton have caused all the big teams problems. I think Luton have scored in 18 games in a row. They're on a bit of a scoring streak. Unlike Sheffield United, unlike Burnley, Luton don't go down that fight. They drew to Liverpool. Arsenal only beaten with a Kai Havertz winner away. They caused problems. But Arsenal in that first half basically went out and got the job done. And I think in a title race, that is the perfect win. Rotate. Don't get out of second gear too much. You're not doing too many intense sprints. Just be calm, cool, collective. And I think this game shows how far Arsenal have come from last year to this year. They were calm, they were collected, they were rested, they didn't get out of second gear, and they got the job done. They looked like an experienced team. It reminded me a little bit of Manchester City, how sort of when things got towards the end of last season, I think Arsenal mentally were a little bit, I don't know, they felt the pressure a bit, whereas today they were calm, they were cool, they were almost so confident themselves, they knew they were going to win. Minimal exertion, job done, go home, focus on the next game. If you're in a title race this is the final month and a half of the season, you've got Champions League football, you've got all these matches coming up, you need one of those games where you can just rest a bit. And Arteta took the risk and he did that perfectly. I want to talk about Smith Rowe. I want to talk about a couple players in a second. But before I do that, let's get this up on the screen. This is quite scary looking at it as a rival. Basically 4 goals conceded in 2024. Arsenal's defence is ridiculously good. And I think almost that gives them confidence. Manchester City had, a 54 or 53 game unbeaten scoring streak. Arsenal held the clean sheet. Luton are on an 18-game unbeaten scoring streak. I say unbeaten scoring streak, sorry. Clean sheet. Arsenal pretty much keeping clean sheets nearly every game, or barely conceding chances, barely conceding opportunities. Rice had the least to do of any goalkeeper this season. Obviously, he contributes quite well in build-up, but in 2024, Arsenal have been ridiculous. And again, I was talking about their mentality, how they didn't need to really get out of second gear today, and they got the win over the line. And it just shows how far they've come. They had a blip. People wrote them out the tight race sort of in January. They went on that break, and they came back better than ever. And what they did today is they just did the job in the first half. They could have been 3-4 up. They did a job in the first half, and the second half was a ball fest. But they didn't need to go out and win that game 4-0. And Arteta probably told them that. He was saying, you don't need to win this game 4-0. We've got the best goal difference. We're 2-0 up. Let's conserve energy for the games ahead and just see the game out. We're defensively solid. And I think that's what they did. And I want to talk about Odegaard. He's really impressive. I want to talk about Smith Rowe. I want to talk about the game in general, But generally, Arsenal dominated the first half. The second half was meh. It was a sort of one of those games to get it over the line. But I think without Saka, without Rice, I think that the fact that they can get that win without key players, rotate a little bit, put some minutes in Smith Rowe, give him a little bit of confidence, shows what they can do as well. And I think Smith Rowe had a very good game. I would have said Odegaard was man of the match, but Smith Rowe did get man of the match. But I thought Smith Rowe, that first half from Smith Rowe was really good. And what Smith Rowe adds, and I've always liked Smith Rowe, and I'm a Manchester United fan, I've always rated him, I've always thought he's a good player, but he's one of those players that can run from deep and sort of progress the ball via carries, run from deep. He can get the ball from deeper areas and move it up the pitch, but also he makes runs from deep up into the pitch, up into the box, and become a goal-scoring threat because he can find those pockets of space. Not only is he a good carrier, not only can he make those runs from deep, but I think he just helps the game flow. I can't explain if that makes sense. He kind of helped the game flow. I thought his defensive work rate was really good, but I thought he made an impact today. I think his confidence, the more he got the ball, I felt his confidence had gone up. And I always feel with Smith Rowe, and I don't know if he'll get this at Arsenal because of how good they've been, but he's one of these players that I almost feel like needs a run of games to get up to scratch, because I think he dropped off a bit in the second half, and that could be lack of match fitness. He's not played a load. But sometimes I think with players that were good players and then they haven't played for a while, then they've been a bit iffy. Sometimes I think they need a run of games to get back to that full match fitness. If you were saying, I used to say this about Donny van der Beek, but I've given up on Donny van der Beek now. But I think Smith Rowe, we know there's a good player there, and I think Odegaard, Smith Rowe, I thought that they were probably the main things to watch, because not only did they put in defensive shift, but I thought their runs, their intricate play was so good. I thought Havertz had some good moments. I thought Ben White had a good first half. I thought Gabriel was immense, and to be honest, Gabriel could be out there for man of the match. Saliba gets all the praise, and Saliba is brilliant, but I've been so impressed with Gabriel lately. But what I think made Smith Rowe stand out today was his ability to just work well in space. He's a space player. He just goes into the right areas over and over again. He makes the right runs. He gets into the right places. He gets the ball into the right places, and he's good. He gassed out a bit in the second half, but I think he took his opportunity today. And I think maybe Arteta will look at that and say, well, if I need to rotate, I might give Smith Rowe a chance. I think that Martinelli would benefit, because I think Martinelli's a good player, but he needs someone like Smith Rowe that's going to feed him the ball and make those runs with him. I think Martinelli would benefit from Smith Rowe on that left-hand side a little bit more as well. But I thought that Smith Rowe was just, as I'd say, is a player that's perfect in spaces. He just goes to the right area over and over again. He knows where to be. He's got that IQ. He's got the reading of the game. And it's a shame. I feel like Arsenal are probably going to sell him. I think he's too good to be on the bench. Smith Rowe deserves to be playing week in, week out in the Premier League, a bit like Ross Barkley. You can't have him on your bench. He's a talented player, and it's a shame, really, it's not worked out at Arsenal for him. And I'm a United fan saying that, because I think he's a good player. But I think Arsenal's best player today was Martin Odegaard. I know he had a few iffy through balls, but I think part of that is because he's not playing with Saka, he's not playing with Martinelli, he's not playing with Jesus. You know, it's Nelson, it's different players to get used to. But in general, when you're looking at those short passes, the little intricate pace, did he play, was it Smith Rowe through or Trossard through with that little pass there early on? He is genius. Odegaard's football intelligence is genius. The way he can play those little passes through, the way he can do those quick movements, particularly when he gets on the left-hand side of the pitch, I think he can be really effective. I think his decision-making is normally very good. Yes, some of the through balls didn't come off, but I think, you know, the way that he can just cut inside onto his weak foot, play those little passes, I think he's got great potential, Odegaard. I think he can be an even more special player, and I think he is a special player today. I know Smith Rowe was maybe the standout because of his energy, but I think Odegaard can just do that pass that kills a game, have that shot and score that goal. Do you know what I mean when I describe Odegaard? You know, he made the finish look easy. It's not an easy way. You know, he can control the ball, he can cut across, and then Bosch makes it look easy. But that wasn't an easy chance to finish. He makes it look easy. I think his technique is good. His shooting is good. I think his ability to break up play with the little pass, play through the box, as I said, I think it was to Smith Rowe he played it through. I think what Odegaard excels at is tight scenarios. Luton are very hard to break down, believe it or not. Luton have got quite a compact defence, and Odegaard can sort of play those line-breaking passes, split the final line of defence, and make things happen. We saw the Porto game. Porto part the bus. Porto was so hard to carve open and break open, and it took that little bit of Odegaard magic to do that. And Odegaard's one of those players where in games like today, he was going to be key, you know, to carve Luton open, to find that special pass, to find that special moment to win the game. Because I don't think it was ever going to be a 5-6-0 game for Arsenal. Looking at the lineup, I know you've won a lot of games 5-6-0, but I don't think it was ever going to be a 5-6-0 game. You know, a few players like Partey and Smith Rowe in midfield, they're maybe not up to full energy as well. You know, Zinchenko's not been playing around a load lately. Nelson's not playing around a load lately. So I thought it was going to be a harder job for Odegaard today. Maybe he'd have to do more off the ball, more responsibilities, but he's still on the ball. He comes up and he does that moment. And I think Arsenal did very well when they conserved energy. But we've got to talk about the Arsenal defence. Absolute monsters. I mean, Ben White did that brilliant turn, but Arsenal probably have the best defensive pairing in Saliba and Gabriel right now. I think Konate and Van Dijk have been great, but Konate's been out a little bit. But Saliba and Gabriel are just becoming the perfect pairing. Saliba is a monster. I thought Saliba's a monster. Sorry, Saliba's class, Gabriel's a monster. I thought Gabriel dealt, you know, Haaland so well the other day. I thought Gabriel, again, was immense today. The more and more I watch Arsenal, Gabriel's been looking incredible. We know how good Saliba is because he's very good on the ball. He's very technically good. He's very hard to beat one-on-one. But really, it's lately, I've been even more impressed with Gabriel. The Man City game, I was more impressed with Gabriel despite Saliba getting man of the match. And today I was more impressed with Gabriel because he's so concentrated. He reads the game so well. He's so professional. He's so concentrated. He positions himself so well. And Arteta's got to get a lot of credit for his development, of course. But, you know, the amount of balls he won that I didn't think he was going to win. His reading of the game, his anticipation for a centre-back is unbelievable. And then you've got Saliba, who's fast, who's quick, that's great on the ball. Not only are they good on the ball, they're good off the ball. Their reading of the game, their anticipation, their positional sense. And Arteta, of course, will have to get some credit for this. But it was unbelievable. And I think Gabriel could be up there for team of the season. Like, you guys are Arsenal fans. You know Arsenal better than me. Who, like, across the season, who's been better, Gabriel, Saliba? Because in my mind, Saliba's a bit more aesthetically pleasing. And I think Saliba is the better centre-back. But actually, recently, I've been becoming more and more impressed with Gabriel. his anticipation, his reading of the game, his ability to keep Haaland quiet. Haaland didn't have a sniff. You know, Arsenal have all those clean sheets. It's not just because of Declan Rice and the rest defence and the tactical setup. It is due to the individual brilliance of the likes of Saliba, of the likes of Gabriel. They've been unbelievable this season. And maybe I'll do a tactical video on Arsenal's defence. But I'm going to wrap up this video here. Arsenal top, and I think that's massive for Arsenal because now Liverpool know they've got a win to go top. If Arsenal keep playing first and keep going top, that's probably the best scenario for them, to play first, go top, put the psychological pressure on the opponents. That's what they've sort of done today. And, you know, now it's in Liverpool's hands. Arsenal have done their job. It's in Liverpool's hands. And Arsenal this year, last year, Arsenal dropped out the title race around now. I guess they bottled it a little bit. I think their lack of experience showed. But today showed me, I think Arsenal can win the title because they have experience to see out games now. To see out games. It looked a little bit like the old Arsenal in the second half at times, but it's the maturity to be in second gear, not be erratically, intensely running at them and tiring themselves out. It's just to be calm. It looked like Manchester City have the last few years when they've had a few games where Manchester City go 2-0 up, they have a great first half and then they just defend. That's what you want. That's what you want.